And I remember a lot of people saying before that after the first episode that Gordon was their favorite. And I remember thinking, Gordon, he must have like 2 lines. I didn't really think about it. But no, actually, he had a lot. And he was good. Which brings us to a good question here. Who were your 2?
Oh, okay. 2. So you already answered my first answer.
Who are your 2 favorite new characters? Because remember, there are 9 if you include Yaphet, who had a couple lines. Oh, man, you okay, man? Whatever. So who are your 2 favorite characters based on only the first episode, Jennifer
Right.
Jurassic Jen Durst?
Definitely Lamar and Gordon. It's the way that they hit, like that scene when they're on the ship and they're like saying, oh, there's a pizza party. And they turn around, they're like, come on, can we go?
That was so good.
That
was a great one.
It's like in the first episode, I was like, these 2 guys are going to be my favorite because they hit those jokes, like you said. And they're the kind of comedy I love. So, and they work together. They're just like, they're great together. They're perfect. So, and that was the episode. So I was like, okay, these 2 guys are amazing.
Yeah, they're like 2 numbskulls. They're just like the 2 kids in the back of the room that are playing.
Met and they're on the same page about going to a pizza party that's fake, and they're the only ones that didn't get it. So.
Oh, Bordas, can we go to the pizza party? Come on, Bordas. Oh.
That I like laughed out loud again when I watched that part. I was like, I remember why I loved it.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they have that little bromance scene where they're in Malloy's quarters, and then Lamar comes in and he's like, hey, I just want to make sure you're not one of those guys. I forget what he says, but like it's going to be a screw around or something like that. But he's like, but I am. And he's like, all right, cool, we're going to get along great. And I was like, that was like the beginning of their little bromance.
Yeah, he just came in and said, oh, it's just kind of coming in to say hello. He's like, in other words, you wanted to see the guy that you're going to be working with every day and want to make sure he's not a jerk. And he's like, yeah, kind of. He's like, dude, I'm such a jerk.
Oh, that's right.
Like, so am I. This is going to work out great. Yeah, that was very good. What about you, Michael? Your favorite 2?
That's tough. I mean, definitely Malloy was number 1. I had written that down in my notes because I knew that we were going to be asking that question because we asked it every episode. So I always make notes about that. So he was definitely my number 1 in this episode. He was my number 1. But then to say something different than Jen, I'll just say Mercer. I mean, Mercer, he was good. I mean, he played it well, and I liked. Going through what he went through is kind of traumatic to walk in on your spouse cheating on you with a blue Rob Lowe, who then blew his load all over the bed.
And stained things.
Blew his blue load all over the bed.
I spelled him in my notes as RAWBLOW. Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Oh,
Anyway.
Okay. Interesting. But then also give a shout out to our homeboy Brian George, Babu Bot, who shows up.
Right.
Babu Bot.
That's from Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Babu, no. WTF Seinfeld. He showed up
Seinfeld. Yeah.
in another show that we watched too, and we mentioned him. But
what was it?
I don't remember what show it was, but
The Witcher.
No, it wasn't. He wasn't in The Witcher.
Oh, Babu. No, I don't know. I'll tell you my 2 favorites. Contrary to the first time I watched it, I have to agree that one of my 2 favorites was Gordon Malloy. I didn't see it the first time, but this time, absolutely, easily. And just to be different from Michael, I will say the other one is John Lamar. Because it really was. Those 2 were, I mean, in that first episode, they had the best moments.
Right.
It was all comedy, or it was cute, cute how they kind of made friends, but it was all on the comedic and light side. And I'm sure later on there are going to be other people that have great moments. But the best moments were them together or apart. didn't really think all the jokes landed, like when Gordon's doing the, oh, I'm drinking at 9:15 a.m. We're like, my only thought was like 9:15. Should it be like 0700 hours really when they're 0500 hours for like spaceship people? But that the drinking thing, whatever. But the delivery in most of their jokes really is what did it for me. I'd say those two. But then let's flip this thing over. Jen, who were the two characters that you were the least interested in?
In the first, it's hard because like I have seen more, right. So it's hard to think of like the first. In the first episode, probably Grayson, because you're mad at her. She like cheated, but there is sort of some kind of like she is trying kind of thing. But I would have to say she was probably one of my least favorites. And this is a hard one because I like really love all the characters. Like it's like almost perfect.
Are we talking only main cast members or like everybody in the show? You
can include Yaphet. So that would be out of the nine people that, I mean, the 8 main cast members and Yaphet's in like half the episodes.
I guess like the other one would be that I wasn't that interested in the first episode would be Isaac, maybe.
What?
Just because
Isaac.
The first episode.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, so
because in the first episode I didn't really get a lot from that character. Like I don't know, but like I said, I'm just pulling because I really enjoyed all of them. Like so.
Yeah, we're not saying you disliked them, just
just like
got the least
thinking
enjoyment.
Like first episode, who really didn't stand out to me in the first episode, I probably would say Isaac.
What about you, Michael?
Are we talking 2 characters? Well, I mean, obviously Yaphet doesn't have much to him. He's kind of like just there so that Mercer can run through him for that joke. That was like the only reason why he was in that episode, and kind of maybe to give him a little bit of an introduction, but it's kind of hard to hate on Norm Macdonald, but well, I'll say that just because he didn't really have any purpose in this episode, just except for a one-liner joke or 2-liner joke, I would say Yaphet is one. And then also probably what's the doctor's name?
Claire Finn.
Claire Finn, yeah. I was gonna say Cassidy Yates, but
you may. That's okay.
Dr. Cassidy Yates. Yeah, no. I mean,
Jen is so confused right now.
Oh, because I don't know.
Just because she didn't really have much of a role in this first episode either. So.
Right. Cassidy Yates, Jen, is from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. She's the actress that plays Cassidy Yates as well. I'll tell you who I don't want to say least favorite, but the 2 people that I was least interested in, at least initially, easily Isaac, because he doesn't really say much of anything and he's not really that interesting. And I do think it's really tough to have a main character that cannot emote in the slightest with even just their eyes. Like whenever they have aliens or robots or monsters, you got to at least let them, have eyes or eyebrows or a smile, and this is like just, which adds to the humor. I get it. It kind of works okay, either for humor or for fear, to not be able to read somebody. But I would have preferred if they went in the way that most people do with an android, which is, just have a person playing an android, So I definitely think that's an easy one for me. I feel like it's too easy to say Yaphet too, but we didn't get anything from him. We hardly got anything from the doctor as well. We got something, and Bortus was okay, but I guess it's easy to say Yaphet and Isaac for me.
Well, I'll play the advocate of the devil to both of you, and I'll say that the reason why I found Isaac interesting, not just this rewatch, but also the first watch, is like Mercer says, aren't you guys racist?
Yes, I put that. Actually, that was great. Notoriously racist, he says.
Oh, yeah. We are superior to humans and other emotional biological creatures or something like that.
Yeah.
So that, to me, was enough for me to be interested in his character and be like, okay, this is somebody that I need to watch and be interested in. And you know, we know what happens later, but in this first episode, at least, I mean, that to me was enough for me to be interested in that character.
Yeah, it was a funny delivery too. He's like, wait, Kalon, aren't you guys like notoriously racist? And I didn't remember that from the first watch, but then when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's funny. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Jen? You think racism is funny?
No, but speaking of that, that's the same thing that kind of with it's Bortus, right? Bortus, yeah, because you think I thought he said Boris, but that's the same thing with him because it's like he only pees once a year.
Right, yeah.
So all male species. So you get that from the first episode too. So that's why I kind of found him pretty interested even in the first episode and his like no personality. Like everyone's trying to find out gossip and he's like, we shouldn't be talking about this. And so I think
Agreed.
Was really like interesting but we didn't get a lot out of him in the first episode, but just know his species and all that. I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, how big are their bladders? They only pee once a year? Jeez.
Right. I mean, they must
have a hollow leg
come out of them or something. Yeah, they must sweat it out or something. And they eat a ton of asparagus too. So in that once a year, it's pretty
stinky,
pretty hardcore.
And I do think that racism against humans is funny because we're a savage child race, you know it.
That's right. And Jen, you know that quote is from Q in Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation, as you very well know.
Thanks for educating me.